Friday Night Live. With me, your host, your lovely, lovely host, Miss D. As some of you might not know, I'm a certified welding educator, certified welding inspector, as well as a certified radiography interpreter. I'm here to teach you guys welding, the burning questions. You guys need to know that this is for your questions, so that you guys can get the right answers, okay? All right, so today, we have a list and a half. All right, so you guys got a little bit stuck on finishes. Okay, so the first one we're gonna work on is GMAW. Right, that's a finish. What is the C for? Chipping. H. Hammering, good. M. Machining, right? What else can this be represented by? Machine finish. P. This is planishing. And it could even mean peening. It's like hitting with a mechanical hammer. Okay, like that. G. Grinding. R. Rolling. All right. I know you guys know this one. U. Dealer's choice. Good. Unspecified. Now, where are we going to see this, guys? Yeah, where are we going to see these letters? We're going to see them on your welding symbols. Let me give you an example. Okay? This is the symbol for fillet. Okay? If I would like it flush, I'm going to put a line. And then I'm going to put the letter, whatever I'm looking for, G. I want you to grind this flush, or ground flush, or flat. Does this make sense? Okay, we can use it with other symbols too. We can say V-groove, convex like a belly, right? And we can say rolling. Now, what happens if there's no letter? Unspecified. That means it's unspecified, means get it there any way you can. If that means your weld is flush once you're done, cool beans. If not, make it nice and pretty. Okay? Does this make sense? Better sense with the homework today? Okay, so when they're asking for finishes, what are they asking for? The finished product, right? What is it supposed to look like? How is it supposed to be on top? Okay, there's a lot of different symbols out there that can say, hey, look, we want something like this. We want it shaped or contoured in a specific way. Yes? All right, so let me give you the shapes that you can have. We can have flat or flush. What is this one, guys? Concave like a cave, right? And the other one? Actually, hold on, it's backwards. I'm backwards today. In like a cave, out like a belly. There we go. Okay, so now all of these can apply to any of our symbols. What must we have on a welding symbol? A, come on, what's the one thing that we have to have? Reference line, good. Okay, we have to have a reference line. And? An arrow, we gotta know where it's gotta go, right? And what else? One more thing that has to be on there. The symbol, right? Whatever weld we're gonna make, you guys have to have it. So we're gonna say fillet weld, okay? The up and down arrow is always on the left-hand side, otherwise, you're an asshole. You will never forget that, I promise you. Okay, this is fillet. Okay, we're just gonna stop there because we got a lot to work on today, but that way you guys start to remember. Okay, so we're gonna work a little bit. You know what? I want to talk about a little bit on stick out and things like that. So some of you guys are working on GMAW. The question I have for you is, what is the correct wire stick out for GMAW? Right? About this big? Actually, maximum 3/8 of an inch. Maximum, okay? Why do we want it so short? Not just penetration. So remember, when we're working with GMAW, the extension of our wire, or the smaller or longer of our wire, it changes the amps and the voltage that's being received at your material. Oh, so it can make it hotter or colder. The longer it gets, the hotter it gets, okay? So we want to make sure that we're staying really, really close. Not only that, if our wire is really, really long, what's gonna happen? Well, no, you're not gonna have any gas coverage. The gas coverage is very, very minimal. So if our wire's too long, we're no longer protecting our weld pool from the atmosphere. That's what the gas is for. That's what flux is for. Okay, so we have to think about it. Okay, now I need to make sure everything is being protected. What can we get if our stick out is too long, defect-wise? Porosity, why? Good, okay. So what happens if I've been really close, I've been really good about keeping my wire short, I'm still getting porosity? What do? Maybe, okay, so maybe your gas is too high. Where should we have the gas at? 25 to 35 CFH. Keep it in there, usually about 25 or 30. Don't go really high because then you can actually create a vortex and it's not protecting it. Okay, what else? There's something that can happen even though it's really short. I'm doing all the right things. You've got two things that can happen. You can still have all of the other defects, but I want you to think about this. I'm still getting porosity even though my wire is short. No, what happened? Nope. You can have dirty equipment. You have not cleaned your nozzle, and where does your gas come from? The nozzle! So if it's dirty, what are we doing? Well, not even contaminating, we're not even allowing our weld to be shielded properly. What else can happen? I'm still getting porosity. What do you think? The gas is getting blown away. Double check. Sometimes it doesn't dawn on us, hey, it was hot today, I turned the fan on. You just blew away all your gas. There's a really big breeze coming into the shop. Just blew away all your gas. This is why GMAW is not meant for outdoor work, because it blows away. This is called gas drift. Gas drift is not your friend. Okay, so you guys need to remember that. So if, hey, I'm just having all of these problems, we're gonna double check, right? Double check, make sure your gas is correct. Double check, make sure I have a short wire stick out. Double check that everything is clean, and then I'm gonna be like, okay, is there a breeze? Oh yeah, it's kind of breezy, maybe I need to move differently. Maybe I need to set up something so that the breeze is blocked, okay? And then if all else fails, check your ground. A lot of problems can happen because your ground is just not plugged in right, or it's chattering, or you can even see that it's getting hot. Okay, so it's important. Okay, now we're gonna talk about a little bit more. So, what is a fraction? Be more specific, it's a fraction of a number. What do they mean by a fraction? Ideas? Come on, guys.
I gave you mine.
Okay. It's a piece of the whole. Okay. It's a piece of the whole. Take an example. I have one whole pipe, right? It's one hole, yes? Okay, so if I take and then cut that pipe in half, is it still a whole pipe?
No.
Well, technically, yeah, but it's in two pieces, right? So this is, so the first one is 1 out of 1, right? So 2 out of 2 still equals 1. If I cut my pipe into 3 pieces, 3 out of 3, right? And we can keep on going until the slices become very, very small. So when we say 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the number on the bottom. That's how many pieces make up the whole piece, the whole pie. Okay, so we'll say 4. And if I want one of these, it is 1/4. Pretty simple, right? Not difficult if we really kind of start to break it down. Now, what if we want to add them? What must we have in order to add or subtract a fraction? Excellent, a common denominator. Which one's the denominator? The bottom. Okay, so can I add these together? The denominators are the same, the downstairs are the same. Okay, so if I have the same denominator, I add the numerators, the top guys. 1 plus 3 is 4. Okay, so now, 3 plus 1 is 4, right? So 4, the bottom doesn't change, so it becomes 4 over 4. What is 4 over 4? 1. Good. 1. That's it. 1. Okay? So let's start to get a little bit more complex then, yeah? Make sure you guys stop me if this is not making sense, okay? Or you're not sure about a step or something, okay? Okie dokie. Let's do a couple of these. We'll do a couple of practice adding and a couple of practice subtracting, okay? So you guys remember? Okay, so for this one, what do I have to do? What is my common denominator? 40. Okay, so I know I want 40 on this side and 40 on this side. What must I do to 8 to make it 40? Times 5. What I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. What do I have to do to the 5 to make it 40? Times 8. What I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. Now, can I add them? Yes. Now what? So 5 plus 16 is 21 over 40. Can I reduce this? No. So look at it. So usually what's the giveaway is if this number and this number are both odd or both even. That'll kind of tell you, hey, you might be able to reduce this. But when they're both an odd and an even, usually you can't. Okay? So if this number was a 20, can we reduce it? Okay, what would we reduce it by? Okay, so we have to make sure that it goes into both numbers evenly, right? So 10, can I go further? 2 divided by what? Divided by 2, right? Would be, yeah? So we see how to reduce, guys? Okay, let's do the next one. 8/9 plus 3/5. What's our common denominator? What do we have to times 9 by? What we do to the bottom, we must do to the top. 5 times, ooh, haha, look at that. 40 plus 15. 55. Oh, hey, good thinking, guys. See? Supposed to wake me up here.
Oh, because I was asleep too.
Sleep at the wheel. I'm gonna sleep at the wheel. Boy, not even, hey man, you're hitting the divider. All right, let's try that again. That's 67 over 45. Can we reduce? Probably not, but we can't leave it like that, can we? It's an improper fraction, correct? So that means what? Well, how many times can 45 go into 67? Let me give you the example. I got a pack of cookies. There's 45 in a whole box, right? Of cookies. Set. I need 67 cookies to give to all my friends. How many boxes am I going to have to buy?
2.
Well, I only want to give 67. I'm going to eat the rest.
You said how many you gotta buy?
Okay, well, technically 2. You're right. Okay, but to be more precise. Okay, all right, so 45 goes into 67 how many times? We know it only goes once, right? So 67 minus 45 is 22. Now we can reduce it. No, probably not. 1 and 22 45ths. Does that make sense? You kind of look a little. Let's do some subtraction. Minus, we'll say 1. Okay. What do we do? What's what's the first thing that we have to do to make sure? Do we have a common denominator?
Yes.
It's 5, right? Okay, now what? We don't have to flip it. We have to borrow.
Borrow.
Okay, right? Because we can't take 6 from 4, right? All right, so that means I want to borrow one of these, right? But here's the thing. It's not a fraction. So I need to turn it into a fraction first. So how do I take 1 and turn it into a fraction? Whatever the number is over itself, right? So we want to put it under 5. So that's the same as 1, right? Okay. Well, we're taking that 1 and we're making it into a fraction.
Oh, they're not.
Right, so since 5 is the common denominator, that's how we're going to add it to it, okay? Now, 5 plus 4 is 9. Now we have 2 and 9/5, which is still the same as 3 and 4/5, but we're putting it in a different way to look at it. I don't know, well, no, because that's the whole part. Remember? So we're still adding fractions, which means this is still like adding a fraction. Okay, so 9/5 minus 6/5. 9 minus 6 is 3/5, right? 2 minus 1 is 1. No. We never add it or subtract it. The denominator never gets added or subtracted once we have these numbers here. Once these are the same, we don't change it. We don't have to, because remember, what is this bottom number? The whole. How many pieces make the whole? What we're trying to figure out is how many pieces of the whole do we have? Right here we say the package of cookies is 5, right? But there's only 3 in the box. Who ate the 2 of them? I mean, okay, but that's really what it is. You guys need to think about it in that way. That's all they're saying. How much of that whole are we eating? If we put it into a relation of a measuring tape, from 0 to 1. They say it's split into 5 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 1, 2, 3. So we can see it the same way with a measuring tape. It works in that same way. How far to 10 feet am I? How far am I into this inch or past the inch? What do we say? Or, people that aren't certain. It's 1 and 2 of those little lines, right? Well, what are the 2 little lines? This is really important because when you go to cut material and you're not accurate, what's going to happen?
To be too short or too long.
Right? And then what it is? Extra work. Now, speaking of too short or too long, this is where tolerance comes in. What is tolerant? Well, we don't want to call it allowance because there's a different things for allowance, but it is how big or small a part can be in order to fit properly. Okay, now here it is. If I have incorrect dimensions on a root opening, what is going to be my result? Perfect example, okay? Standard root opening is 1/8 of an inch. Here's my plate. Here's my nice little backing bar. Okay, 1/8 an inch, okay? I can get right down in here, put my weld in. What happens if I make my root opening too large? So let's say, you know what, I was just a little bit off. Okay, maybe my just a little bit more than a little, okay? A lot off. What's gonna happen? Am I gonna get penetration into my bevel? No, I'm just gonna have this piddly, sad little bead in the middle, and it's not gonna do what it needed to do. Now, what if it's too tight? Right, it probably won't penetrate as well as we think it is, right? So let's say it's just touching, and more than likely, I probably will only get about right here. I won't be able to get to the bottom of my groove, okay? Now, this is where tolerance becomes important, right? If it's too big or too small, what's gonna happen? I'm not gonna have the correct penetration, right? Or if I'm trying to fit something together and there's this big gap. Oh shoot, how am I gonna fill up the gap, right? Tolerance. Okay, so it's really simple once you guys start to understand it and you go, oh, so we can have tolerances in decimals and we can have tolerances in fractions. They work the same way, just you're gonna add them a little differently, right? So let's start off with 1/8, and I'm gonna say plus and minus. We'll say plus and minus 1/16 of an inch. So what am I saying here when I say this? 1/8 plus or minus 1/16. Right, so it's 1/8 plus 1/16, 1/8 minus 1/16. Okay, so here's our math. 1/8 plus 1/16, 1/8 minus 1/16. Okay, so let's start with the add. What's my common denominator? 2 plus 1 is, okay, common denominator here is 16, right? 2/16 minus 1/16 is, so this is my max, this is my minimum, okay? This is as big as it can get, this is as small as it can get, okay? Now, these ones say both plus and minus. You might have one that says 3/8 plus 1/4 minus 0. What is that? What is that telling you? Right, so it says don't go smaller than 3/8, but you can go larger by 1/4. It will still fit. Why would I have a 0? What would be the reason behind that? Okay, think about it. So if I have a plate with a hole in it, I'm gonna stick that pipe in that hole, and I need to weld it all the way around. If I make it any smaller than 3/8 of an inch, will it work? Actually, it should be going the other way. Actually, no, that's not right. That's right. Doubted myself. We can't make it go any smaller. If we make it smaller than that, what's going to happen? We're not going to be able to get the pipe in there, right? And if we make it too large, the pipe's going to wobble around when I'm trying to weld it, right? So we have to think about it in both ways.
Damage it, more or less.
Not damage it. You'll have this big space around it.
I mean, if you weld it,
No, so what our problem is that there's a space. Now we have to figure out how to fill the gap because we're not even able to fill the gap. So it's not even burning it around it, it's trying to figure out how we're gonna make this work because there's a big gap. We have to fill it up. Now, what do? How can we fix it? This happens. At least one of you've done this before. I'm not pointing anybody out. Okay, so what happens? What do? How do we fix it? It's duct tape and it fixes it all, or JB Weld. And yes, the JB Weld can be welded on. It's been done and tested by the Navy. They were dumb enough to try it. All right, so if I have a space like this, there's a couple of things I can do. If I'm smart about it, I will find material that I can stick in here and fill up that space. And that way I can weld over it. What else could I do? You could use a bigger electrode. Good job. There's something else you can do. Well, what we can do is we actually make a bead right here on the edge. Teeny, teeny, tiny one. Then, once it's all cooled off, you stick another one a little bit further in. Man, let it cool off.
We're trying to build it up.
We're building it up. We're building it to close it. There you go. But the bridge is very delicate at this point, right? Not gonna hold a lot right now. And we're pretty much, we're gonna close up our bridge. So now we have material here. Now we make a nice, pretty weld over top. That's how we fill it up. But if it's too large, there is no saving it, okay guys?
in other words, just build it up, that's it.
Well, we can build it up or we can put material around it
Yeah.
and weld it, okay? It just
Wrap it around her.
depends on the situation,
Yeah.
okay? So we have to kind of pick and choose our situation, but it happens sometimes, and I've seen it on some of these welds that the structural guys are doing. I'll have guys that send me pictures, and they want them to weld something that has a space, like literally that you can see through it. You have to get creative in the way that you need to seal it up. You need to think about, well, so the fix was, they got some 3/8 plate, put it in that hole, that slot like this, put it in there, weld it on both sides, and then weld it over it. Because that was the only fix that you could have. The space was too large to even try to bridge over. Even if they did that, they'd be there for all day long. Well, what's the boss gonna say when you're just doing one weld for 8 hours?
Are you talking about side to side or layer to layer?
No, they're gonna do layer after that. they're gonna come back and layer it. They're gonna put a whole full pin weld in that. So, you know, we can't be doing that all day. That's not, you know, it's very time consuming if we have issues like that. This is where tolerance becomes important. Remember last week we're kind of talking about the guy who's gonna cut your plates, right? That guy, if he doesn't read his tolerances, what kind of plates are you gonna get? Well, usually you're gonna have a shortcut, not a long cut. What must we take into consideration when we cut? What is it called? What? Curve. It's the curve. It is the width of the cut. So if I have a piece of material and I need it cut at 11 inches, and then I need another one at 13. Yeah, 13, you see that? Wow, you know where my brain's at, not here, okay? And I only have a 25-inch plate. Will they fit? What number am I missing to ensure that it's going to fit? If the width of my blade is 1/8 of an inch, right? I need to add that. So it would be 11, 13, and 1/8, right? So it would be what, 24 and 1/8? So it would be 25 minus 24 and 1/8, which would be 7/8 of an inch left over. This is super important. I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. 11 plus 13 plus 1/8. My 1/8 is what? That's my curve, right? These are my cuts. I'm gonna add them together, okay? Now, I'm gonna take the length of my material, 25 inches, and I'm gonna subtract my cut from it, okay? So now, what do I need to do, right? Okay, so I need to borrow from the 25, yes? Okay, so I'm gonna make that into 24. What am I gonna do with that 1? Am I gonna say 1 minus 1/8? What am I gonna say? Excellent, 8/8, because it's 1, right, in a different form. So now are my denominators the same? 8 minus 1 is bada bing, bada boom. That's it. It's really simple, but you guys need to pay attention to the little details. The military didn't teach me one thing. It was pay attention to details. Details are super important when we're laying out, when we're cutting, when we're fitting, when we're welding, when we're selecting our run, when we're looking at the amperage. As a welder, you guys need to look at all of those little details before you even weld to make sure that it's gonna come out the best. My dear friend Giovanni, he's not here today, we were working on the octagon, and we have pieces of angle. All right, we can make an octagon out of this. Well, we were off about 10 degrees. Didn't work very well now because we failed to see one detail, the angle of the octagon itself. We thought, okay, I think we're pretty close. Well, pretty close wasn't good enough. Okay, now it makes our fit up kind of odd. So now our fit up is like this. Now what are we gonna do? We're gonna have to bridge it. This is probably 1/4 of an inch, but it makes it so the fit up is poor. This is why we need to go back to the mat, go back to the measuring, and pay attention to the little pieces. Okay? Make sense, everybody? Do we have questions, concerns?
Anytime's the right time. Come on, baby, make it feel alright. Anytime's the right time. Come on, baby, make it feel alright. Make it feel alright. I want wayward women like I need a hold of my hand. I want wayward women, you know.
Stay tuned for another part. Please like and subscribe.
Weld the world.